Well, hello, and welcome to Homeschooling with Heart. My name is Stef. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. If you're new here, I am a homeschooling grandmother to an 8-year-old grandson, and we have been homeschooling for 3 years. And everything is going okay at the moment. Well, I mean, at the moment we're iced in, but other than that, I think everything is going okay. I mean, we're usually together all the time anyway, but we were getting out a little bit there, and so it's been a while since we've kind of been in the house together for more than just like 3 days straight. And now my husband is in the mix. So, yeah. Anyway, we are doing okay. So, today I thought it would be a perfect time to talk to you about self-discipline and emotional stability, keeping your emotions in check while you are running your homeschool. If you're into that, if you want to talk more about that, I'd love for you to hang around and hang out with me today. I am trying to go through some of the items that are on my content creator, and this happened to be one of them. This has come up several times, people wanting to know how I stay self-disciplined. And what are my tricks and tips for self-discipline and for emotional stability as far as homeschooling? Because emotional stability, yeah, well, that's still, the jury's still out on that. I mean, y'all watch this, A couple of you asked what we did, what was our plan B for when I was sick, what the plan B was. Plan B was using 5 in a row, but also we utilized Easy Peasy All-in-One Homeschool. I chose a few subjects for him. Some of it was math, some of it was language arts, reading, of course, and a few other things, PE, art, and there was something else, computer, that he was learning. So yeah, we kind of did a mixture of quite a few different things, and he has really enjoyed it. So much so that we have kept a little bit of that in the mix. So we have continued some of that, and I'll go into that in a different video. So make sure that you like and subscribe so that you do get those notifications. But there is that. Let's see. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is this summer, I think it was this summer. Yeah, this summer, I put together a curriculum for a friend of mine, a kindergarten curriculum. And I had given her something that I found from the Thinking Tree, Fun Schooling. And it was called the Homeschool Letters. And while I was reading them, I thought, you know what? Maybe I should pick up one of these for myself because I don't have a lot of homeschooling friends, and there are quite a few letters in here, and I may be able to read these every once in a while, especially when I kind of get in that slump, that lull, and it might be of some help. It has been. It really has been. This got me through, when I was sick, when I was down, guilt, can just take control. And it was starting to. And then I said, no, you can get on back. You're not going to mess with me today. There is a letter pretty much for any occasion. I mean, there are letters here from moms that have large families. There's letters here from moms that have smaller families. There are letters here from moms that like to talk like me, and they have 2 pages, 3 pages here. There are letters from moms that, there's just a few sentences, and it's powerful, just the few sentences that they've written. This one here, stop, breathe. You had it right the first time. You can do this. You're not alone. Even if you are, you still have that sweet child of yours and all your love to propel you in this journey. And that's just a sentence out of one of the letters. And I just wanted to share this with you right quick before we go into today's topic. Self-discipline with me and Remington. And what does self-discipline mean to me? I don't take myself, you probably have kind of guessed this. I don't take myself too seriously. I used to take myself real seriously when I was in corporate and professional. And, I would just kind of walk in with this professional attitude and, work was work, this was this was that. I had to start separating work from home. And so I think that goes to the emotional stability that I learned early on to separate those 2 things. And so with my homeschool, it's been a little bit easier for me to separate my Mimi persona from Remi's teacher. I think that is important because as Remi's teacher, he has to be able to ask me anything, right? As Remi's grandmother, he also should be able to ask me anything, but that it's a little bit different. And there are things that I do as his teacher that I don't necessarily do as his grandmother. And as his teacher, I look at different ways to teach him. So if he isn't understanding material that we're going over, if he isn't understanding something, then I will try a different way, a different approach. And if he still isn't getting it, then I'm like, okay, well, what about this aren't you getting? Because we've gone over this, and this is pretty, this is something you should be getting. But yeah, so he isn't quite understanding. And so I'll go over it again after he tells me. And I can see that he's struggling. So I know he's not messing with me, okay? So I can see that he's struggling. And I will catch myself becoming frustrated. And it's not frustration really with him, although, well, if let's be honest here, it is kind of frustration with him as well as myself, because I'm kind of frustrated at, okay, now why aren't you understanding this? I've explained it to you 5 times and you aren't getting it and you're not telling me what's going on. Well, okay, then I have to stop, because if I start getting frustrated, well, he's not going to talk to me. He's not going to talk to a frustrated teacher about what's going on. So if I can sense myself starting to become frustrated, that's when I take 5. And I learned that in accounting, just to be able to get up and walk away. In accounting, you can be a penny off, and that's going to be the most difficult thing to find. $100, no problem. You can usually spot it. But that penny, man, you can search and search and search. If you have reconciled your checkbook or you've reconciled the bank statement, then if you're off that few cents, it's kind of a little bit more tedious than trying to find the $25 that you're off, right? So that is where I learned to just get up, take 5, and then come back, reassess the situation, and go from there. And so I also put that in the self-discipline category, because you do have to be self-disciplined enough to not just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it until both of you are just, clashing. It's being able to separate and sometimes go to different corners, then come back and reassess the situation. Now, if there is, if he still doesn't get it, then I will ask him, hey, go over this with me. You tell me what you think the instructions are, and you tell me what you believe you are supposed to be doing. And then that kind of gives me a heads up of, okay, this is where he's getting this wrong. This is where he's getting this wrong. And this is how I need to talk to him about how to do this and how to do this, and so on and so forth. Right? So then I'll just call it a day, until I can come back and regroup and come back and teach him how to hopefully do it the next day. I don't want to break his confidence, and I don't want to shatter my confidence any more than I already have. So, just calling it a day and both going out, with a little dignity and not being frustrated with each other, and then coming back the next day and going over it again. Usually, we have both had time to, think about it and come back to the table, look at it again, and there we are, and then we just kind of roll from there. I consider that being self-disciplined and having the emotional capability, emotional stability to break away from the issue, regroup, and come back at a different time. There are also times where we may be doing a subject and he's just not getting it, and it's kind of too early in the day for me to just kind of call it a day, right? So at that point, I will fix lunch and we will go to a totally different subject. We may revisit the other and before we call it a day for school, just so that I can see where he's at, and kind of get a feel for what he's doing, where he's at, and what's the problem with him not understanding what's going on. So that I can come back, like I said, so that I can come back to the table and try another method. As his teacher, it is my responsibility to do that. It's not his responsibility yet to think of how to teach himself because he doesn't know the material yet. Now, if this were material that he was familiar with, then I would try to make him think outside of the box. So yeah, those are a couple of things that I do to, try to keep us getting to the point where we're just like, I try to avoid that at all costs. Let's see. The other thing is listening. Just listening. Sometimes just listening to him and will give me an idea of his mindset, of where he's at on a particular subject. What level, is he on? when we are doing a subject, do I need to go back and repeat, or do I need to keep moving on? Remington and I have come to an understanding. If he does not understand the material, at least 90% of the material, if he doesn't understand at least 90% of the material, then we are not going to go further. We're going to go back and go over the same material, and he can tell me, okay, yeah, Mimi, I understand this part and I understand this part, but this is the part I'm having a problem with. And then we will go forward from there. What I like about Memoria Press is that it does give me those evaluations to be able to say, okay, we've done the lesson for this week. Here is the end of the week, and we have kind of this little assessment, and it gives me an idea. Okay, he does know the material. He may not know it backwards and forwards, but he knows at least 90% of the material. And sometimes I will even say, okay, do you feel like you're ready to move on? Do you feel like that you know enough about this vowel team, and these spelling rules to go on to the next level? Because we're going to take the information that we've learned here and we're going to apply it to the next few levels. It may not be in this level, but it could be in the next level. There have been times where he's been like, ooh, I may need to just, go over this one more time. And we'll go over it one more time. He's good, and we go forward. And then there's times where he's like, no, Mimi, I've got it, and we go forward. The reason that I put that into place, we had to step way back in his math program. And I'll have to go into that in another video. I'm running out of time. But we did have to step way back in his math program because he did not know certain math facts. I thought he knew them because when I was holding up, flashcards, or when he was doing something, it appeared as if he knew them. He can memorize, but that doesn't mean that he has learned the material. So when the math problems that he started doing required him to have knowledge of the previous lessons, well, he could recall from memorization, but then he couldn't recall, okay, now I have to multiply. Okay. So, so we had to step back and take another look and kind of start, not from scratch, but, we were moving forward in some areas, but other areas we just had to go back a little bit. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. And it was interesting the way that I found out about it. So at that point, we had the discussion of, if at any time you don't understand the lesson, or you don't understand what's going on, or you're not sure of what you're supposed to be doing, then let me know. Because my way of thinking, he understands what I'm saying, but this is all new to him as well, so sometimes it's hard because we've gone over the material, since last year before last, and I think, okay, he should know this. Well, there's kind of a memory gap for this age. You know, I mean, what he remembers at 6 years old, he doesn't necessarily remember at 8 years old. Okay, so I think that's why they say, you know, don't start a formal writing program or you know, whatever else, you know, program until they are at a certain age, because you're just going to have to kind of reteach it. And yeah, it's just if I were to have spent the last couple of years doing writing and grammar and other things, you know, it just would have went in one ear and out the other. And he wouldn't have, he wouldn't have retained it. Now he's at an age where he can retain it. He is memorizing. There are some things that he can memorize, and that's going to be wonderful. But there are other things that he cannot memorize and have and get through to the next level. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are as far as, you know, emotional stability and self-discipline. I don't know if I really answered the question, but we talked here for about 20 minutes, so. All right. Well, I thank you for watching today. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please comment down at the bottom and let me know. If you have an idea, if there's a topic that you would like me to cover, please feel free to leave that comment at the bottom. I would love to hear from you. And until we meet again, be good to each other. Bye-bye.